So in the Financial Times recently, there's been a familiar face to us here at JMW Solicitors. Rachel Phillips is a solicitor within JMW's employment law team, and Rachel's been writing in the FT. Rachel, it's an interesting piece that you've been writing, but also worrying that we're having this conversation in 2023. Can you just give us an idea of the background about what you wrote about, please?
Yeah, of course. I mean, as you said, it's shocking, but sadly, in our line of work in employment law, all too familiar. In this particular scenario, we had someone write in about his wife, who's an NHS junior doctor. She told the NHS, who was her employer, that she was pregnant, but since then she's been suffering a lot of work. She's had really negative feedback when she had previously always had positive appraisals. They've increased her workload, and she's also been experiencing some bullying, and she thinks this might be amounting to some form of pregnancy discrimination. So she got in touch, her and her husband got in touch with the Financial Times to see what advice an employment lawyer would give to someone in this scenario.
And I guess you can guess my next question, Rachel. In those sorts of circumstances, what would your advice be?
Well, in this kind of circumstance, the first thing that comes to mind is maternity discrimination. So under the Equality Act, employers are prevented from treating employees unfavorably because of pregnancy or maternity. So she may have some kind of claim for maternity discrimination. She might also even have a ground for harassment if she thinks she's being bullied, and if she thinks that bullying is on the grounds of her sex. I mean, the law of harassment, under that, you can't actually claim for pregnancy and maternity harassment, but there's a sort of loophole where you could go through sex harassment. And there's no minimum period of service for discrimination claims. So even if she's been working there for a month or two and this has happened, she might still have some avenues available to her.
And how can you and the employment law team help individuals who may be in a similar situation?
So normally when someone comes to us with a scenario like this, we'd try and ask, when did this start? We try and establish, did this discrimination start before you were pregnant? Would the treatment start before you're pregnant, or did it start after? Because that's really key to finding out if it's discrimination based on her pregnancy and maternity or not. Usually in the first instance, it's always advised to, have an informal chat with your employer or your line manager to see what the problem is. Often that doesn't resolve things, especially in cases which are a bit more severe like this. And it's at that point that we might step in and help an individual draft a grievance that they'd submit to their employer. Alongside a formal grievance, we'd also help them submit a data subject access request. So this is a request anyone can make to their employer, and they can ask for information that their employer holds about them. So that can be really useful in this kind of process. It can provide evidence which might prove the discrimination, and it's great evidence if it does end up escalating all the way to the employment tribunal. We'd often hope it wouldn't get to that stage, as employment tribunals can be super stressful. So we always try and resolve through this route first, but we are able to help if she does need to then ultimately bring a claim for discrimination in the employment tribunal.
Rachel, thank you for your insight. If you'd like to speak to Rachel and the employment law team here at JMW Solicitors, you can email insideman@jmw.co.uk or call 0161 82 81 999. Please also subscribe to the JMW Inside Man YouTube channel for the latest legal news, hints and tips. I'm Dominic Walker, JMW's Inside Man.